We got a feature in TechCrunch and Forbes on our own without needing the agency.
Many startups struggle to get media attention. What are the biggest misconceptions that non-technical founders have about PR? And what's the first step that they should take to craft a compelling story?
So this is a question that we hear all the time with our customers and with the people that come to us. Really, I'll give you the short answer and then I'll explain it. PR, in its simplest form, is all about storytelling. So you don't need to be a technical founder. You don't need to be have any really particular skills to be successful with PR. What you need to do is be able to craft a good narrative and tell a good story. So that is a fundamental piece of how we've built Just Reach Out. It's how we do PR in general, how we think about it for our clients is not just, nobody's going to write your story when you say, hi, I'm John. I have this amazing company, I have this amazing idea, write about me. Maybe if you're Nike, if you're Disney, if you're, I don't know, at Netflix, you can tell that story to a reporter and they'll write your story because you've built the brand equity over time to earn that. But if you are just trying to get started and trying to earn your way through the PR world, you need to explain to the journalist, to the reporter, to the podcaster, to the blogger, why you deserve that story piece, why you deserve to be written about. And that is really about telling a good story to their audience. Well, I'm sure we'll get into much more of this over time, but really the fundamental piece of doing PR is thinking out what is the story that I want to tell? And then also what is the story that the journalist I'm speaking to wants to hear so that they can tell their readers, their listeners, their audience, and make sure that everybody's happy. So you're happy because you're promoting your brand. The end listener or the end reader is happy because they're reading a good story, and the journalist is happy because they've facilitated that connection. That's really what we're going for.
Definitely. Stories have been here forever, right? It's how humans communicate. Yeah, I think you're completely right about that. If honestly, in terms of pitching, I think the pitches that I have read, I think anyone who has a good story is a lot more compelling.
Yeah, this is how you're a podcaster. You understand this. People are always trying to get on your show, learn more about how they can be a part of your audience. And yeah, when somebody comes to you and says, hi, I'm great. Can I be on your show? Does that work? Is that what I want my audience to hear? But if you come on and explain a good story, explain this is what I can tell your audience. I can help them learn this new thing. I can help them understand this new skill. I can help them understand the nuances here. That type of interaction is what you as a podcaster want to hear because you want your audience to be excited about your guests. And that's the same idea of pitching a journalist or a podcaster, whomever.
Definitely. So Just Reach Out is disrupting traditional PR firms using AI. Can you break down how your platform identifies journalist opportunities and helps craft pitches for founders?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something where I don't like to talk about how it's being the anti-agency because that's not fair. We're not against agencies. PR agencies are very good for a very particular use case. For example, crisis communications, there's some negative press out there, or you know exactly what you need to do. You are a large brand and you have access to good information and good stories. Again, you're Disney, you're Nike. Agencies are excellent for that. If you are a small food startup and you just really need to get placed in this very specific journal, this very specific blog to try to get your product out there, an agency might be able to help you with that. But for most founders, for most people that want to do their own PR, they don't need somebody else to tell their story. We always like to say, nobody can tell your story better than you can. You should be the one pitching the press. You should be the one talking to journalists. You should be the one talking to reporters. But traditionally, the way this works is that those relationships, the access to those newsrooms was gatekept by the agencies for obvious reasons. They make a lot of money for those relationships and they don't want to give that up very easily. It's 2025. It's much easier to get in touch and get in contact with these outlets or these people. And so our AI is disrupting how you are approaching getting press. So we are disrupting two pieces of that. One is, how do you get press if you don't have an agency? Which used to be, you write a press release and you send it out to what's called a wire service. There's plenty of great services out there. Again, not disparaging those services. If you want to get the word out there to thousands and thousands of journalists, you just write a press release, you pay some money to these wire services, and they send them out to everybody. That's great. But again, not personalized. You're not really making a relationship or having a connection with the journalist. You're just saying, here's my news. Hope you care. But really what the idea is, you want to find the exact right set of journalists that are covering your topic, that have maybe written about your topic in the past. Maybe they've done a story about your competitors, or maybe they've done a story about another kind of thing in your industry. And from that perspective, if they've already written about your topic, maybe last week or last month, you can be pretty sure they'd be interested in talking to you about maybe a follow-up story or learning more about what you can do. So our AI search, the first step of that is our AI search goes and finds for you all the relevant journalists who have written about your topic recently and very specifically about whatever you can search. So imagine searching new snacks for toddlers when like moms are out of town. Like you can just like very specific ideas that like a very specific story, and you'd be surprised. Somebody's probably written that story somewhere in the world, and we can go find that for you and then match those journalists to those stories. That way you have a good set of maybe 25 or 30 journalists to reach out to rather than 5,000. But again, those 25 or 30 are going to be highly engaged because they've written about this topic recently and they're engaged in the subject. That's the first step of kind of what we're doing there. Second is actually writing a pitch to the journalist. And so when you're doing that, we believe that AI can be a nice help there. So we do not, our platform does not automatically like craft emails with AI and send them out with like instead of the click of a button to the journalist, because we don't believe fundamentally that you should do that. That is spammy. That is not, the journalists don't appreciate it. There's email filters that will prevent that. They will just stop you from getting into their inbox if you do that. There are companies out there that do it. We don't agree, and we all think that's the right approach. What we do is we have the AI do two things for you. One is you can actually type in your story or your narrative to AI, and it'll give you feedback on, is that a good story for journalists? Like we trained our AI to understand what type of story do like journalists appreciate, what do they like to write about? And so we'll tell you, hey, this is a poor story, this is do better. Hey, this is average, this might work, this might not, or this is very strong. This is going to be like a really good opportunity for the journalist. We'll give you feedback on that. And then identify what is like, we call the topic, like what is the story going to be about? And then what's the hook? The hook's the most important part. Why will the journalist care? That is, oh, we save our customers $500 a year. Our snacks are the first ever to not include any bad chemicals. I don't know what the story is, but you can imagine what the hook might be. So the AI can help you do that. And then it can also help you craft a message to the journalist. But again, it's building you a framework of here's what we would do, here's what we would say, and then you would then go in and edit things, type things up and make it to your own voice. So that's really important there too. Again, AI is really helpful as a tool, but it shouldn't be doing everything for you, especially now when you're trying to make a connection with the journalist. So that's the second part of that. You also asked about, so sorry, I'll pause there for a second. Does that make sense so far? Because I have one more thing I wanted to mention on this.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially that you don't actually automate those emails because quite frankly, like they don't even get sent, right? Like what you said, they get stuck in the spam filters. And also it's not nice to be on the receiving end of these AI generated emails. It's very obvious. But if you get to like edit, like what you said, it makes a lot of sense that it would work.
Yeah. So we get this all the time. Like we do our own PR and our own press. So our GS3 job blog is a very high domain rated blog, and we do very well with that. We get spam all the time from people very clearly spam that are just trying to get themselves pitched onto our blog. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention about how AI is disrupting here is not just about like how Just Reach Out does it. It's really just about the idea of like anybody now could be considered like journalists. So we call it journalists, but it's not just newspapers and magazines like it used to be. It is blogs, trade journals, it's podcasts, YouTube channels, it's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's everything. And so we consider all of them journalists. So when you're using our AI search, or we're using our kind of AI engine, we're not just searching for who wrote at the Wall Street Journal or in the BBC or in the New York Times or Forbes about you or about your topic. It's who has a YouTube channel very specific to what you're trying to tell, what you're trying to do, and help you reach out to those people as well, not just traditional media. Why that's important is that we always like to say, yes, of course, a front page story in the New York Times is going to do great for your brand. I promise it'll do very well. But also there's another thing that you can do is you find a blog that maybe only has 100 readers. So a very small audience, but those 100 readers are your exact target audience, your exact target demo for who you're trying to sell your product to, who you're trying to get the word out there to, if you're a profit, whatever it might be. And so those blogs with 100 really dedicated, high engagement users are potentially even more powerful than a feature in Forbes that people might click on to read, but they have no interest in actually engaging with your product, your brand. And so AI will help you find all of that, not just traditional PR, which was here are the editors from the top newspapers, here are the reporters from these TV stations. Like those are all great. And we're not trying to say that you shouldn't do that. We have access to all those as well. But there's additional layers to that, including things like socials, blogs, and all those other things.
That makes a lot of sense because media has changed a lot and everyone practically counts as press these days, especially with podcasts and influencers as well.
Yeah. We always like to say that it's not just even influencers, like micro influencers for your local community. We work with a lot of local brands where they want to know, of course, would they like to get somebody with 1 million followers on Instagram to post about them? Of course, it's going to cost a lot of money. But if you can find a local influencer, somebody with 5,000 followers, that really engages with the restaurant scene in your community, and you're at an Italian restaurant and you want to get the word out there about your restaurant, that micro influencer, again, 5,000 followers instead of a million, but 5,000 highly engaged, interested in their content and followers is so much more important. And we just help you engage and open up those channels as well.
Excellent. So, what are the pros and cons of doing PR in-house versus with AI versus hiring a PR firm? Are there any situations where founders should still consider hiring an agency?
Yes. So like I said, we don't like to pin ourselves as the anti-agency. There is a lot of value to these agencies. And like I said, oftentimes where we find that agencies do really well is if you already know what you want to do and you need those doors open and you need the relationships that they might have in their specific industry. So like I mentioned, if you are in the food space and you have a brand that's trying to sell direct consumer snacks, hiring a very generic agency is not going to do well for you. But hiring a very specific agency that has connections within the food and trade journals and the blogs and everything else inside of your industry could be very helpful. And so we think that agencies can be really good at like certain things. As I mentioned earlier, like negative press, like trying to combat negative press in crisis communications, that is a very specific skill that agencies are very good at. If you need crisis communications, I don't use just reach out, call somebody and actually go get yourself like some help that like somebody from a professional that can help you with that. I don't think AI can help for sure, but it's not going to be your best bet there. A human that can help you walk through that and keep you like engaged in that is going to be your best bet. So I don't think that there's definitely use cases for agencies. The downsides of agencies generally are two things. One, they're very expensive. So I don't know about like other places in the world. In the United States, we're talking anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per month with multiple month engagements. It's a very expensive process with obviously no guarantees of success because there is no guarantee in PR. And so just price to be like very high for these agencies. But in addition, it's not just really price. It's again, what I talked about earlier. For a lot of the companies we work with, at least, they are trying to build their own brand. They're trying to get themselves out there. Nobody can tell your story better than you can. So yes, can you go to an agency and then they can run through their checklist with you? Okay, tell us about your founder story. Tell us about this. We're going to record this interview and we can like learn more about you as a person and you about what your brand is doing. And that's all great. And they can try to absorb that knowledge and then pitch that to the press. There's a gap there because you're now like trying to train somebody else who's really good at like telling stories, but doesn't really know your story as well as you do, trying to tell your story to the press. Wouldn't it be better if you, the person that knows the story best, knows your product best, knows your customers, knows your engagement, knows your total market, they're the ones actually pitching directly to the press, like with that story. You're cutting out that middle person and it's giving a much more effective kind of path to the journalist of what you're trying to tell, what you're trying to say, and kind of do that. So that's all to say that we really feel strongly that you as the founder, you as the business owner, you as the PR professional for your brand should be the one telling that story directly to the PR agency. But I'll actually add, while we are an AI forward company and like almost the entire platform is powered by AI, we actually do have a group of PR professionals that work with us that kind of we can contract out to our customers as needed. So we are not a services business. We do not like to sell services. That's not our goal. Our goal is oftentimes when brands are coming to us, they say, I'm bringing PR in-house for the first time. I've never done this before. And so I really just need some help. And of course, our team of customer support can help you with like product questions and like just simple things. Sometimes they need a little more handholding than that. So we offer different packages of like white glove PR service from our bench of PR professionals that can help them do that. Sure, an agency does. We're not an agency because we charge nowhere close to agency prices. We actually are not claiming relationships with newsrooms and with editors. We're claiming it. We have a good group of people that know how to think through a story, help you craft that narrative, work directly with the founders to think through what that could be, more like kind of educating them on how you should think about this, kind of like schooling them a little bit, like a little masterclass on how to do PR with the full intention of pulling back. So we only offer our services for like 1 to 3 months maximum. We don't sell services beyond that because that's not our goal. Our goal is just to help you get started, get engaged, bring PR in-house for the first time, and then go and pitching yourself and doing it yourself without training you along the way. And so we feel really strongly about that. But it's like bringing PR in-house for the first time is really difficult. And calling the agency is easy. It's the easiest way to do it. But like I said, it's going to be expensive. But more importantly, you're not going to have that effective of a story to tell if you're telling it through somebody else, like through an agency.
I completely agree with that. I think I heard on a podcast, they said that even if the founder isn't the best public speaker, the fact that the founder is the one telling the story is incredibly meaningful to any kind of listener.
We get that a lot. Like somebody will say, I don't want to go on podcasts or I don't want to get myself out there. Listen, it's not easy. Sometimes it's not be fun. If you're introverted, maybe you're a technical founder, you like to just write code and not talk to people like that. We get those people a lot that come to us. I say, listen, try it. Just go on a podcast, go do an interview, see how it goes. And yes, you might think you're not very personable. You might think you're not very charismatic, but it actually doesn't matter. Go out there and tell your story. And I promise you, if you have a good story to tell, people will love it.
PR firms claim their journalist relationships are a major advantage. Your platform helps founders bypass this. What's your best strategy for a founder with zero press connections to land a feature?
Yeah, this is a really important step in this. So we actually, this is a shameless plug for our blog. Go to blog.justreachout.io. But we have a lot of great content on how to do this. So there are a million ways to build relationships with journalists. But yes, if you are going to do this yourself, you don't have the access to the agency where they can call up their friends at these different newsrooms and say, hi, I have to pitch your story. I want to tell you about this. And they'll take the call, they'll take the email, and they'll do it. Without that, you need to do that yourself. Now, what we're seeing over and over again in the course of the last 10 years of this business being around, that's okay. Of course, will the journalists pick up the phone from the PR agency when they call them? Probably. That'll be a little easier of a way into that newsroom, but you're paying a lot of money for that relationship. And so what you can do is you just find ways to build relationships and do that on your own. So, for example, for Just Reach Out, we don't like gatekeep the relationship contact information. Like when you reach out to journalists, it's yours. It's in your inbox. You have access to those journalists. And so over time, as you build relationships, like you don't have to, they're in your inbox. Like you have access to their contact information, you have access to their inboxes, and so you can know kind of when they're engaging with you or not. It's very normal to reach out to a journalist as you're getting started here and say, hi, I don't really have a story to pitch you. I just want to introduce myself. I'm John. I have like snack brand. I'm really good at like this and this. If you ever need a quote for a story, if you ever want to learn more about this topic, please let me know. Here's some interesting things I found. And then you list like maybe 3 or 5 data points that you think are really interesting about your industry that they might not know, or they only know because like you have that proprietary data, something like that. You're giving them information. You're giving them a sneak preview of what you can bring to them. And they come back and say, thanks so much. I appreciate you reaching out. I'll let you know. You'd be surprised 3, 4, 5 months later, you'll get an email saying, actually, I am doing a story on this topic. Do you have any insight on this? And sometimes the answer is no, because you don't know. But the idea is that you're now in the Rolodex. They're thinking about you when they're doing a story. So setting that groundwork and setting that framework for the journalist is really important. That is, I think, like the most important thing to do here is just, yes, you have to build the relationships yourself, and that might take some time. But like I said, we have a tool that makes it really easy and efficient to do that. It helps you really seamlessly get to that point. But then, yeah, you got to find, like I said, 25, 30, 50, 100, I don't know the number of journalists that are that are right for you, and then start building relationships with them over time. And like I said, check out our blog. We have some I don't know, tricky ways to do it too. If you ever find a typo, my biggest thing, if you ever find a typo in somebody's writing, it's the easiest way to get an intro to a journalist. You reach out to them and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I loved your article here. I love this and this point. You did a really great job explaining this. By the way, in the 3rd paragraph, you had a typo here. And you tell them that, and they'll always respond like, thank you so much. You pretty much 100% hit rate to get a response there. If you point out like an error or a typo in their article. If you ever see that, it's the easiest way to really start a relationship with a journalist. At least you now have a connection with them. You have their email address, and then you at least started that conversation that way.
I love that. It's so sneaky and it sounds very effective.
Yeah.
So founders often send out cold emails that get ignored. How does your AI-powered tool help founders write high-converting PR pitches? And what are the key elements of a successful pitch?
Yeah. Again, I'll plug our blog here again. We have lots of content on this, but I'll give you the kind of the overview here. So there's a few things that I think founders get wrong a lot, which I'll explain here. And then we'll talk about what are the key kind of learnings from that. So 1, the emails are too long. Everybody that comes to us, their emails are too long. Journalists get pitched a lot. So I think I've read different things here, but I've heard that a New York Times journalist gets over 200 pitches per day. And it's their job to read all of them. They have to open up the email and look at them because that's what they do. They need to find the best story and the best pitch. They don't want to miss out on a good story. So they open up pretty much all the emails. They're reading them. If it's too long, they're just going to they're going to cut it off in the middle somewhere. They're going to look at it and be like, no, they're just going to move on. So we always say 100 to 200 words maximum. Most important thing. If you can't write your pitch and tell your story in that short of in only under 200 words, you're doing something wrong. You need to refine it and build it again and tell that it in a different way, but it has to be short and punchy. So 2 is, if it's short, it needs to be punchy as well. So you need to make sure that it actually has good content and good information for the journalist that you have uniquely. So don't just say, our industry is really big. It's $5 billion total. They can Google that and know that's not interesting, but it's our customers show us that when they switch from, I don't know, sugary soda to our probiotic soda, we find that they end up drinking more soda than they did before. but health impact is this. And so that we see that engagement with soda increases, but in a positive way because of the, like you can just use your own proprietary data, use your own insights, use your own founder story. Anything that's interesting or unique or novel to you is interesting to the journalist. Why should they care about you? It's because you have data, information, facts, numbers, anything that they can't get elsewhere. That's why they have to talk to you. If you're pitching them a good idea and they can just go research it somewhere else and then have somebody else tell the story, that's not good. You need to prove to the journalist that you are the one with that information and with the reason they have to talk to you, not just anybody in your industry. So I think those are the two the most important things we always say. And then the other thing, like journalists, like oftentimes the founders or the people get wrong is, again, they're not thinking about the storytelling aspect. So again, if they were selling snacks, if I am really good at selling snacks, I know my target audience is, I don't know, moms with young kids. And I know that like they shop at these grocery stores, they shop on Amazon, they shop on these places. So I'm going to target my sales toward those avenues. I'm going to put all my advertisement. I'm going to spend money to sponsor my ads on Amazon and Google because that's where I know that they're shopping. You think about how to sell your product to your consumers. When you think about PR and press, you have to think the exact same way. Think your way backwards. Who are my end consumers? Who's going to actually buy this product? Again, moms with young children. All right, what media do they consume? Okay, they consume these mom blogs and these podcasts and these like magazines. Okay, great. Now I need to reach out to each one of those magazines, those blogs, and those podcasts with interesting content to pitch to those moms. But it's not just like interesting content that I think is interesting. It has to be interesting to the journalists for their audience in general. So when you're pitching to a mom blog, maybe it's all about how your snacks are really good for packing in the car and packing in lunches and why they're great for kids. Because it's all about like moms reading about their kids. Whereas the more traditional like food podcast, it might be all about the ingredients and how they're sustainable and how they're healthy and everything else. And so what story are you telling to the audience that their audience will care about? So you have to think about not just what you want to tell, but also what the journalist wants to hear for their audience. So I guess to conclude there, again, we have lots of content on this on our website, but short emails, not too long, punchy with facts, figures, information that only you have that your competitors don't. And make sure your message is tailored to the audience of the journalist you're reaching out to. Not just what you want to tell, but the journalist will care about for their audience. Those are the three by far most important things to get yourself responded to in the pitch emails. Something that our system automatically helps you do. It helps you personalize all that to each individual journalist. It does a really nice job helping you guide you through that with the AI. But those are the three kind of most important things and also most common mistakes we see.
That's completely true because a story only matters if it's targeted towards a specific audience. It can't just be just any random story you've thought of.
Exactly.
So many think PR is just about media features, but it also impacts SEO, credibility, and partnerships. How should startups use PR for growth beyond just landing articles?
So PR can have different paths. And when somebody comes to just reach out and they do take a call with us, like an onboarding call or a demo call, we go through different steps here. So what are your goals for PR? So you mentioned brand awareness is one of them. So if you just want to get your brand out there, spray it wide, how many different articles can you get featured about different stories about your brand? Go on podcasts, tell your story, tell the information you have. That's just about, I'm calling it more like volume. Get yourself out there because you're just trying to get brand awareness. You're trying to get the right audience of people thinking about you and your brand. That's the most important thing there. So that's very open. Now, that's great. And a lot of our customers want to do that. And some of our customers come to us with a very specific plan. I want to increase sales through this channel. How do I do that? And so those opportunities, it's all about finding the right outlets and the right types of media that are going to help them with those opportunities. So for example, if you are a snack brand, you want to get higher distribution, you need to be targeting the trade journals, like the journals that the distributors and the grocery stores are reading. It's not the sexiest media. It's not like the most flashy. You're not getting yourself to put your face on the cover of Forbes. It might be a very specific, detailed article about how your brand is successful for these types of audiences. And all of a sudden now you're pitching a very different story, but to a trade journal that is going to write that story really well for that particular audience. That is a very specific tactic you can make and say, I want to increase this channel for my sales. Then you can target media towards that. And so it's not just, a lot of times people come to us and think PR is just how many articles can I get written about me that's really good? But we always say, have a plan, think about what you want to do, and that's how you're going to be successful. We worked with a great brand that was a logistics software for trucking companies. Not the sexiest software, and they knew it, but they're not getting that feature on the cover of Forbes. They understood that, but they're really focused on the 7 or 8 different trucking magazines and podcasts they really wanted to be on. And they were highly targeted with their approach. We helped them through this, and they got a feature on a really good blog in their category. Again, because they were super targeted about they knew what they wanted to do coming in, and they had a plan, and then we helped them build out that plan, and they executed on it with Just Reach Out. Really, like I said, it depends on your goals, what you want to do. We use people that can use Just Reach Out to help build their affiliate marketing. So they know what types of different sites out there, like we'll do affiliate marketing. At least Just Reach Out, they're going to reach out to them just like they would a regular blog, but their intention is not write a feature about me. It's, hey, I get 20% commissions for putting my product on your list. Would you like to do that? That's PR too. And we're absolutely happy to help our customers do that.
Are your customers usually software companies, or do you have very traditional businesses as well?
The great thing about PR is that everybody has to do it. No matter what type of company you are, everybody does PR. So we have a vast kind of like different types of customers. Like we have a lot of technology and AI startups that's just based on who we are and what we do. So we do work with a lot of technology startups. I'd probably say that's probably our number one. We work with a lot of nonprofits because we are a more cost-effective solution to traditional agencies, things like that. A lot of nonprofits love our tool because again, like it's a great way for them to get their story out there. Almost always have amazing stories to tell. So the storytelling part for them is not hard. They have a great story to tell about their amazing causes they're working on. They just have to get out there to the media, and it's really hard to do that. And their time, they don't have a lot of time, they don't have a lot of money. So we work with a lot of nonprofits. We work with a lot of just like regular businesses. We work with like hospitals, addiction chains. We work with different places like that. And it's trying to build awareness for their brand. Everything from, like I said, from like Series B fintech companies to like very clearly like I'm selling a product, I'm selling a blanket, I'm selling like a product like online. I'm just trying to build my awareness to my brand. All of the above. Like I said, we are a unique platform that is cost effective because again, we're using AI to power a lot of this. We're not a ton of people that are helping like do this like an agency would, but also super effective. And so people love that.
Definitely. I think it is definitely useful for all sectors.
Absolutely.
So AI is transforming PR at a rapid pace. What emerging trends do you see shaping the future of PR for startups? And how should founders prepare for this shift?
Yeah. So I'm not going to give you the AI answer where I think AI is going to take over and AGI is coming next year and everything. I'm not going to give you that answer because I actually don't believe that. I think
Okay.
what AI is doing right now really well, and again, this could change. I could sound really silly a year from now because so much has changed. But right now, in 2025, the beginning of 2025, I think that AI is really good at helping assist people in doing things that they might not have been able to do before. So the idea of doing your own PR in-house, like with your own team 10 years ago, was really challenging. Like it was really daunting, like thing to think about. You had no idea where to start. You wouldn't know how to get in touch with people. You wouldn't know how to build it out. You wouldn't know how to do anything. Today, anybody can call in ChatGPT or any of these other tools and say, what should I do? Like I'm trying to build a PR campaign for this topic. Can you help me think of ideas? Can you help me think of what my topics could be? Can you think of some traditional, like I'm trying to target the Phoenix market or the London market or the Paris market. Can you tell me some good publications from that area? Okay, not just tier A publications. Can you show me some good blogs? What about some local influencers from Paris? Like you can have the AI kind of give you all this information. That would have taken hours and days of research in the past. AI will spit it back like that. The other thing I like to say is AI doesn't get tired. And so if you want to brainstorm ideas with the AI, you say, give me 20 ideas and give me 20. And you're like, I don't like these. Give me 20 more. And they'll do 20 more. And give me 100 more. They'll give you 100 more. Like, they'll continue to give you more ideas and more kind of insights into what you want to do. So again, you have this virtual assistant that never gets tired, never sleeps, and is really happy to help you do things you could never have dreamed of doing before. That is what is transforming why AI is so important in PR. Because a industry that was gatekept by traditional agencies and people is now being upended by somebody like anybody, business owner, who just says, I want to do this myself. I think the AI can help me do it. Now, can you go out and train ChatGPT or a Claude or Gemini or any of the tools to do that for you? Maybe you're a pretty good developer. You have good prompt engineering skills. You know how to do that. Or you can just sign up for Just Reach Out. We've already done it for you. So I think like ultimately for individual businesses, users, like the one thing that AI is doing that's transforming PR in the most is that it's democratizing this information to anybody that wants it. And anybody is not as scared anymore of thinking about doing it because again, you can just go online and start learning more about it without needing to like this expensive agency to tell you how it goes.
Definitely. So it's breaking the gate to PR.
Yeah. And so I think, will this change going forward? Absolutely. Like the AI is moving at a rapid pace. I think there's a lot of things that could be changing here. I think ultimately though, right now, at least the biggest thing it's doing is it's opening up the doors and the opportunity to more people to think I can do this myself. I just want to, it just seems at that point, it's like it's efficiency versus doing it like completely myself. And Just Reach Out makes it super efficient. If you use our tool effectively, you know how it kind of works and you've been in it for a little bit, we're talking 1 to 2 hours per week. You'll have success with PR like that. It really does not take that long. because again, the AI does most of the work for you. You just need to formulate your thoughts and build it out there in the platform.
Definitely. So you started your career in investment banking and later transitioned into data science and PR tech. What inspired this shift and what unexpected lessons from finance and analytics that help you bridge the just bridge out?
So when I was in college and university here in the United States, I was definitely interested in engineering, math. I studied applied math and statistics. That was like my basis of my learning. So I was a data scientist by trade, but I really wanted to move to New York after college. That was like my thing. I wanted to live in New York City and all my friends were going there. And so I was like, how do you go to New York City? I'd never been to New York really in my life before this. Somebody was like, oh, go work in finance. So I got a job in investment banking. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I did that. I just did it because, you know what, I got a job at tech investment bank where it was all about covering the tech sector. So I got to learn all about how companies are built and operate and grow in the tech world. I got to learn about software, semiconductors, electronics. It was just really fun. I actually covered NVIDIA in 2012. So before they were anything like they are today, they were a tiny little company, but I was covering them with my semi stocks, which is really exciting. So I was in on NVIDIA. I actually put a little money in NVIDIA stock in 2013, which like a very little bit of money, but it's grown very nicely. Just I thought they were a cool brand back then. Anyway, so we covered that. And like I said, I learned how to like how companies operate, how they work, how they like envision, like how they grow, how they sell, how all that works. That's what the investment bank teaches you. But ultimately, I wanted to go back to my roots and go back to my data science background. And so I did that. And I worked for a couple different startups, one called 1010 Data for a long time, helped scale that business from, I was employee number like 50. We got up to a couple hundred. We sold that business for $500 million. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience just learning different things there, but I got to wear every different hat at 1010. I was a data scientist first. Then they're like, oh, you know how to talk to people. Do you want to get on the road and sell the products you're building? I was like, okay. So I just started getting on the road and selling to Fortune 500 companies. And I was just like started my sales career. So I was like doing technical sales for a long time and then transitioned to kind of customer success. All to say, these different experiences for me taught me like how companies operate, how they work, how they grow, how they scale. And then from a business perspective, from the investment banking, and then watching it, doing it real time with the company that I joined that was small and how watching it grow over time into this like really amazing company and how like all the challenges that come with that and everything else, seeing how you need to get your brand out there and build around that is so important. And so I learned the foundational skills throughout. So I always like to say your 20s are for learning. Like my 20s were just learning. I just learned everything I could about the industry. I took every job I could like, in different companies that would give me a new skill set and just learn those different things. To the point where now that I'm running Just Reach Out, it was a new experience and a new way to take everything I've learned and apply it to a technology, to an industry like PR that I thought could use some disruption. And so I think for us, we learned PR later, but again, like PR is something you're doing all the time. So I was doing PR for my different businesses as I was in them because you're thinking about, okay, how do we build this brand? How do we get it out there? Like PR is something that everybody thinks about, everybody does. And so we knew how to do PR already. We knew what would work. I, at one point in my career, hired an agency because we didn't know how to do it. We spent $30,000 and got nothing. Zero. They got us zero placements. And I was like, what are we going to do now? Oh, give us 3 more months and we'll get it done for you. I was like, I'm not paying $30,000 more for you to not potentially not get us anything. And that's when we realized like something has to be changed here. So instead of hiring the agency for another 3 months, we spent our own time doing it. And we got a feature in TechCrunch and Forbes on our own without needing the agency. And so that was like, we realized that we needed to tell our own story better than the agency could. And we did that and it was successful. So PR is something we've always thought about and done, but really like I said, wearing different hats throughout my career to teach me different skills was so foundational to what Just Reach Out is now doing and what we're doing here with other things as well.
Fascinating because we have a lot of young listeners here, and I think people are always trying to figure out what they're supposed to do in their 20s. Listening from you, just like making sure that you're wearing lots of hats and learning important skills like you did with sales, data science, all of these kind of combined to what you're doing today.
Yeah. Somebody told me a long time ago, your 20s are for learning, your 30s are for making money. Just go actually try to learn as much as you can in your 20s because you're never going to get that time back. Like you were just like, you're having fun. I was living in New York City. It was a lot of fun as well. But I was just traveling all over the country, all over the world, meeting with clients, learning about what they're doing, meeting amazing, great businesses. It was just such a fun experience to kind of learn all the different things. And every single day now that I'm the CEO of Just Reach Out, like just helps me like understand how all of those things led to where I am today and how that helped me affect decision-making when it comes to people and technology and product and software and like customers and everything else.
So every great startup has a pivotal moment when the founder realizes this needs to change. What was your moment? What problem in PR made you say, I have to fix this?
I just alluded to it. It was my previous company
Yeah.
spending $30,000 for a PR agency that did absolutely nothing. It was the moment for us where we were just like, wow, this is like I can't believe that they just weren't able to do this for us because we had a good story to tell. And like I said, we eventually got a feature in TechCrunch and a feature in Forbes. Like we did get the notoriety and the publicity we needed. It just took us doing it ourselves versus the agency. And that was important. That's what I realized. Again, I'm not here to bash agencies. Like, that agency was not right for us. We made a bad decision, but we didn't need that agency. We need to tell our story effectively to the right journalists. We just need to get in touch with them and get in front of them. And yeah, of course, like, we wasn't just like, we use connections. Hey, do you know this person? Like, you're playing those games, which you have to do in PR anyway. But we didn't need the agency to do that. We were able to do it ourselves, and we got in front of the right people, and we got ourselves the press we needed. So that was our big aha moment. If you give me a second, I actually would love to tell you about one other thing that that is also very similar to that story. So the team that just reached out, we're actually building a new company that is like very similar. It's connected. It's all connected here, but it's called ChatRank. So it's all about how to rank in the AI models. So if you are like a traditional brand and you need to do SEO to promote yourself in Google to make sure you're on page one of certain keywords. What about when somebody's searching in ChatGPT? Or what about the Google AI answer at the top of the page? Like, how do you rank in that? How do you make sure that you're ranking in those models as well? Traditional SEO is actually not the answer. There's a lot of other things that you can be doing that'll help improve your ranking in those AI models. And so it's called ChatRank. It's chatrank.ai. So we actually just launched this week with that product. So join our waiting list. We're very excited. We're rolling that out slowly to make sure that we're like being effective for our customers. But that story is so interesting. It's because it actually came out of Just Reach Out. Of course, we acquire customers in lots of different channels, but one of them is like Google ads. Like, we spend money on Google ads to try to win customers in Google. So at one point I went into my Google ads account and I was like, I feel like we haven't been charging, my credit card hasn't been charged in a while. And I look, and we usually spend thousands of dollars every month on Google ads. And we spent $4 in the past 3 weeks on Google ads. Google just wasn't spending our money. And I was like, something must be wrong. Maybe my ads are broken or something. I go in there, everything's working properly. Everything's going. Google spent $4 on our ads in the past 3 weeks. And I realized, like, how are they not spending our money? And I realized that Google had just recently, during that time period, added Google AI snippets and AI answers to the top of all of our like core key search terms. So nobody was even seeing our ad to click on it because they were getting their answer from the top from the Google AI answer. And we're like, this is not good. Like, we really haven't done, like, our customer flow has been, like, our funnel's been getting down. We're not getting as many customers right now, and nobody's clicking on our ads because they're not even seeing our ad because they're just getting the answer from the AI snippet at the top. And we're like, whoa, we need to think about this. That has now, like, that was our aha moment where we then were like, okay, how do we get into the AI snippet? Because first of all, if you can get in that AI snippet, you don't have to pay for ads because it's free. Getting in that snippet is not, you can't pay for that AI answer in Google. That is free. It's just like SEO. And so if you can get into that, you can just turn off the Google ads because you don't need them anymore. You're going to get the same number of customers or more from that top of the page answer. And so that's what led to ChatRank. That's what we're building out for our customers. And so, yeah, if you're interested in learning more about that, like I said, check us out. But that was another aha moment for us. Where we're like, we really truly aha, like, we need to build this. And so we built it as a separate product. It's part of the Just Reach Out family, but we actually separated it out as its own entity because it is just like uniquely different and it's going to be like its own product. But ultimately, a lot of what ChatRank's going to tell you is if you want to rank better for this topic, if you want to be the Google AI answer, you need a high quality profile or like story about your brand in like a certain type of magazine or a certain type of blog. The way to do that is you just reach out to go ahead and reach out to the journalist. So it is complementary, but we've separated out.
I love that. It's like each of the product is helping promote the other product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as an entrepreneur, what's the biggest mental or strategic hurdle that you face while building Just Reach Out? And how did you overcome it?
Yeah. So actually, Just Reach Out and now ChatRank. This is the first time where I actually am like the CEO, like in charge of. I've had a lot of different roles in my career. I've had leadership roles. I've had large teams reporting to me. I've done all those things. This is the first time where I'm actually truly at the top. And so for me personally, like, that is really exciting. It's something I wanted to make the leap into. It's something that we had a lot of fun with building out Just Reach Out, building out ChatRank over these last like years. Like, where it is very exciting and amazing. And I love the energy that it brings, but there are definitely challenges to that. One, it is very true what they say. It's a bit lonely at the top. Like, you don't really have somebody above you to go to. I've had incredible mentors and incredible managers in my career, and if you have a good manager, like, just tell them you appreciate them. It really is like the best thing to have somebody to go to. But I always try to do that for my direct reports as well. And so it really is just like difficult to wake up and be like, okay, I'm running, this is what I'm doing. I need to set my own schedule today. I need to make sure I'm like, these are my tasks for the week. What am I going to get done today? What am I going to get done tomorrow? Organizationally, it's difficult. It can be challenging. And so there's a lot going there. I think the fun and the pros far outweigh the cons. Like they're much better. It's much more fun than what I was doing before, obviously, but it definitely has some challenges. I think for me personally, like I said, it is just not having that somebody above you to go to that you can really like work with and understand. Like, of course I do have kind of peers and mentors and people in my network that I talk to all the time about this, which is great. But really for me, like that's the one thing. And the other thing is just, nobody's telling you what to do anymore. You're like, are you going to focus on getting pressed for Just Reach Out this week? Are you going to focus on customer acquisition? Are you going to focus on customer retention? Are you going to focus on building the product and helping our engineering teams like really focus in on our goals right now? Like those are all like questions. Every morning I wake up and I decide what I'm going to do that day. That can always be a challenge as well.
Definitely. I think having peers and mentors who are doing the same thing and have gone through the same thing helps a lot with this.
Absolutely. The community is really important. And luckily for us, like we do, like I do have a good community I've built up over the years. That also took time to like network and build those relationships over time, but it really is helpful to have a sounding board for different things. I'm not a very like public person. I'm not a big social media person or anything. So I'm not like posting all the time, but like I do post on LinkedIn every once in a while and just be like, what do you think? Like I'm doing this thing right here. What do people think about it? Just because I'm curious if my network is interested in that topic or helping with through that. That's always been fun too. But I generally just am more focused on my closer aligned mentors and friends.
I think this is a great topic to finish the podcast on. I'm so grateful for you to come on our podcast today and sharing your two products. And I'm sure that our audience will find it useful to grow their businesses.
Amazing. Which is like I just wanted to mention, Just Reach Out. So it's justreachout.io. If you're ever interested in learning more about us, please check us out. Like I said, we have a great blog that has really good content. I promise you, it's not all just self-promotional. We'll tell you how to do things without Just Reach Out. We'll tell you how to do good PR things. It's just a really good, not use kind of knowledge base for doing PR. And then ChatRank. So it's chatrank.ai. So ChatRank.ai. We offer a free report. So if you ever want to get a static report of where you are and how you rank today, enter your brand into the system. We'll give you a free report to understand it. And then obviously, if you want to learn more about the ongoing like SaaS product, join our waitlist. We're happy to talk about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.